Hey everybody, this is Kelly, the Hammy Mama, and today I'm going to really put it out there and tell you all about my testimony. A little disclaimer before I begin. Sorry. Disclaimer. I am going to discuss God and Jesus, Christianity, possibly church. So if you're easily offended, I apologize, but I'm just forewarning, those topics are going to be mentioned. Okay, so hopefully I can do this all in one video. I apologize ahead of time because I know it's probably going to be long, but just a little bit of background about my faith. When I was young, when I was little, my parents brought my brother and I up Catholic, and we attended a Catholic church, a Catholic school. I actually went to Catholic school until I was in maybe 5th or 6th grade, and then once we transferred to public school, my parents just kind of stopped taking us to church. Unless it was, we call them CEOs, Christmas and Easter only. We kind of did that. So the seed was planted a long time ago, which I'm very grateful for. And but ever since then, I kind of, I always believed in God, believed in Jesus, and I never had a relationship though, so I kind of was lost for a really long time, and always, like, I'd visit this church, I'd go to this church for a while, and then I'd go to this one. My mom and dad divorced when I was like 9, so they kind of had separate lives, and my dad, he would find this church or that church, and I'd kind of go with him. And so I just kind of bounced around for a while, not really feeling at home anywhere. And so that being said, that's just a little background into the past there. This is kind of the way my life went and how my struggles led to where I am now. I was very unhappy as a child and as a young adult into an older adult, very, very unhappy, had a history of depression. Well, let me go back even further. I have a history of being molested, childhood, just lots of different things happened to me in my past, and a lot of traumatic things. I'm not going to go into details, but there were quite a few incidences with different people along the way. And, everything from just, a dirty old man flashing me to, these kind of things happened so many times that I began to believe that there was something wrong with me, that it had to be me, because why is it happening with so many people to me? I was almost abducted when I was in 1st grade. I was walking to school, and I was almost grabbed off the street. And I started, after all that happened, I kind of started walking the other side of the street, and there was a man that used to, play with himself. And it was just, there were so many things, and I didn't really talk about most of them with anybody. I kind of just kept it inside. Like when I was 4, there was a Christian camp counselor that always used to, was molesting me. I was just so many things. And like when I was 15, I was raped, and on my 15th birthday, it was over and over and over. And I just knew something was wrong with me. Like, it was crazy. And I had such a, I didn't trust anybody, especially men. Like, it was so hard for me to trust, or I was just so fearful. And I had a lot of depression, a lot of I don't know. And at the time, like after my mom and dad's divorce, my mom just really struggled with it, I think. And you know, we've come to we're very close now, but we weren't then for most of my life. And I'm very grateful that we have the relationship that we do now. And I know I made mistakes, and my mom, you know, she had us when she was young, and she made mistakes. But I was very sensitive. Like, I was a hypersensitive child. I'm still a very sensitive person. And so everything, all outside influences affected me so deeply. My mom could not have known, like my family could not have known. It was something that just was. And we had a very hard relationship, my mom and I. And there were things that I did to reach out and to try to ask for help, but not asking, you know, just kind of, I don't know, like I used to write poetry, and I'd write, you know, poems about suicide, and because I had those thoughts even as a child, and because I didn't want to live with the pain anymore. And I used to hurt myself. Like, there's one thing that I will never tell my child, and I've learned from, you know, my parents' mistake, and I don't blame, you know, I don't blame them. It's just something that they were probably told as a child. But, you know, to say, don't cry or I'll give you something to cry about. I took that to heart. Like, I would try not to cry. I would cry, but when I did cry, I got into so much more trouble that I would just scream into my pillow, bite my pillow. I would hurt myself. I would hit myself with hairbrushes, pinch myself, bite, pull my hair, just because I had so much pain inside that I needed it to be outside. And that manifested later in life as well, which I'll get into. So, you know, I would write these poems, and my mom, you know, all she kind of said was, I wish you'd write something happier. And it was a cry for help, but no one really heard it. And again, I don't blame her. I mean, she was having a hard time herself. So, fast forward, I mean, there was just one thing after another. And then when I got a little bit older, I was maybe 18, you know, I was involved in a very mentally unhealthy relationship with a man, and I was just the kind of person that any attention, you know, I thrived on it because I just wanted attention, or, you know, I wanted to feel loved, I guess. And it was just a very bad relationship for 2.5 years, and it kind of caused more of a rift between my mom and I, and some really bad stuff happened, which I'm not going to get into. So after that, my self-esteem was just basically nothing. I mean, what can I say? It was just horrible. So I just kind of floated through life, and in 1994 was me. I don't even know how old I was. I can't do math right now. But I'll just tell you that I struggled with eating disorders for 13 years. Had, you know, anorexia, bulimia, and it was just back and forth for 13 solid years. Like, I would get a little bit better, and then I get really bad, and I had 25 plus. I lost count. Hospital admissions and being on psych wards, and the city I lived in, we had a very good eating disorder program, a whole unit devoted. So I spent so much time, so many years. I spent birthdays, holidays in these places, and my life was just nothing. Like, that's how my identification was the sick girl, the victim. I constantly dwelled in the past. I relived it over and over and over. I heard the you know, messages in my head, you're not good enough, what's wrong with you? It was just like, even thinking back on it, it was like it happened to somebody else. It's just crazy. So I struggled with this over and over, you know, almost died several times. I mean, I could write a book. I really could. Therapy, medication, more therapy, more medication, hospitalizations, 2 suicide attempts. I ended up in 96, I think. I don't even remember. My insurance ran out, so I ended up in a state mental institution. If you guys have ever seen One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest, the place that I stayed, they filmed some of it there. I'm just saying. So yeah, I ended up, well, one stay I was there for a couple weeks. The second stay might have been a year or two later. I ended up there for 6 months because basically I had nowhere to go. I was homeless. My mom was just done. My family was done. They couldn't go through it anymore, and I don't blame them because I put them through hell. And had nowhere to go, so they put me in this unit, they call it a bridge unit, to find housing. So while I was waiting for housing, I met a man, and he seemed perfect. I don't know. He was there, he was, you know, a patient as well, but, you know, the reasons he gave me were not the reasons. It was very different than the actual reasons he was there. He was just a very good liar, and I believed everything he told me. And I'm not going to go into it all, but come to find out, we, you know, fell in love, and we ended up getting an apartment together. I wasn't working. He was disabled, so he was waiting on disability, and we ended up getting this place with his disability. And against everybody's wishes, they're like, don't do this, don't do this. But we just went against everything, everybody, and did it. And we were living together, and he was a drug addict. I really didn't know it at the time. It became apparent that he was. And then he became abusive, physically, emotionally. So we were together for 3 years. I don't even know. But we were engaged, and I got very sick with my eating disorder because I had just given up on life. I totally gave up, and I thought either he's going to kill me or I'm going to kill myself, and that's just going to be it. So I got very, very sick. And I know, let me see, Easter Day, 1999, was the day he choked me. And to the point where I almost blacked out. I had bruises. My neck was like, I could feel the crunching in my neck. It was just horrible. And that was the day I knew I had to get out. And my doctor had told me, we're going to help you. And we're going to put you in the hospital, and we're going to help you leave this man. And they did. But I was still very afraid that he was going to hurt himself, because he always told me he's going to kill himself, he's going to hurt himself if I leave, or he's going to kill me. The story is too long to go into, but so I had to leave because my insurance ran out, and they put me in a shelter for abused women. So I had nowhere else to go. And I was there for I don't even know how long, but I got very sick again because the guilt was so bad. And I still kept in touch with him even though I wasn't supposed to, only because I was afraid that he was going to do something to himself. So, I don't know, there was a restraining order, it was just horrible, like, it's a nightmare. So, I got very sick again. And I had to go back into the hospital. I lost my place at the shelter, so I was again very homeless. And while I was at the hospital, I didn't hear from him, and I thought it was very strange. And like maybe the day before I was supposed to leave, I got a phone call from a homicide detective saying that he was dead. And I lost it completely. And I don't know, it's a very long story, but they didn't let me leave the hospital. I had to stay, pay out of pocket. It was just a mess. And so he ended up killing himself, and I lived with that guilt for many years. Like, it got in the way of my life completely. So this whole cycle just continued. And I think it's just kind of all a blur. So leading up to the change in my life, I ended up leaving Maryland. That's where I'm from. I ended up leaving there. My mom lived in Florida. My brother lived in Florida, and they're like, "You need to come here," because I had like lost jobs. I got laid off of like 5 different jobs. It was crazy. I lived, I don't know. It was just, I was still sick, still fighting with the demons, and they're like, "You need to change. Just come here." So I did, and things were a little better at first. I saw a doctor here, and it was still on medication, still having problems, but it was a little better. And then one day a friend of mine invited me to this church that was right down the street from me. This was like a couple years after I'd moved here. I moved here in 2004, and I think it was around 2006 is when I went to this church. And as soon as I walked in the doors, I felt at home. It was just amazing. It was unbelievable. Everybody was so friendly and nice and kind and sweet, and it just felt genuine. And I started going every week, and very soon after I joined the choir. This is like a mega church, like thousands of people come every day. I mean, every weekend, and I joined the choir. I started healing, really genuinely healing. And you have to understand that my whole life I felt worthless. I felt like I didn't deserve to live. I mean, I used to eat scraps out of the trash because I felt like I didn't deserve hot food and real, I don't know. It's just, there's no words to describe the disparity and the worthlessness. It was just, and I always felt like God, not that he didn't love me, but I was so ashamed of myself that that's all I could say. It was just shame. And how could he forgive the things that I did, or I don't know. So that's really, I started loving myself, and I can't even tell you the moment it happened. I didn't see a doctor anymore. I didn't need medication anymore. I started feeling happy for the first time in my life, and that was amazing. Like, I would just see a sunset and just start crying because it was so beautiful, and like, that has never happened. Like, I couldn't even imagine a future. I never would let myself imagine a future. Like, if one positive thing came into my mind, and that's another thing, I was a cutter. I used to cut myself horribly, and I didn't need to do that anymore. I didn't need any of that stuff anymore. And it's given me my life back. Like, God has given me my life back, and he has healed me from the inside out. Unlike anything I've ever known. It's just, and he continues to bless me in ways that I never thought possible. I never thought I'd have a husband. I never felt deserving of such a wonderful husband. And don't even get me started on the baby. He is just an angel sent from God. And stop it. Told myself I wasn't gonna do this. God put us together. We met on Christian Mingle, and I was just about to give up hope. I was just about to close my account, and he emailed me, and I saw this beautiful face and just the most honest eyes, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try one more. Go figure, right? 3 months later, we were engaged, and 6 months after that, married, and now we have this baby, and we have another one on the way. I mean, within 2 years. I mean, the Lord is so good. He has blessed me beyond what I deserve, and so we try to give back as much as we can. I went before I met. Hey guys, sorry about that. My memory card is actually full, so this is my third time trying to film the end of this video. The second time I just wanted to add a couple of things. I wasn't real happy with the ending, so I'm filming it again. Okay, so where did I leave off? Okay. So finding the church, I got involved in the choir. That was right after I started going to the church. Got involved in that. Ended up going on a mission trip to Peru, which was absolutely amazing. That was an experience of a lifetime. And maybe one day I'll do a video just on my experience there. But then, sweetie, so excited. And then, I did some volunteer projects and local outreach and things like that. My husband's also very involved in the church. He does lots of different volunteer things, and I used to do... Oh, I have to get him. Come here, you. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, this has gotta be... He's gotta be here. Okay. I worked with the kids at one point, didn't I? Well, you were still in Mommy's belly. Okay, so anyway, that's just, I just pretty much said that, all of that stuff just to say that no matter what we do, we don't feel like it's enough, It's like, I want to shout from the rooftops, how much God has done for us, and how blessed we are, and if we can pay it back just a little bit, we try. So, a lot of people, when they go through trials in their life, they say, I really wish if I could do it over again, I would do it differently. Well, I wouldn't, because everything that happened for a reason. And if my testimony can help anybody, it's worth it. Like one person, to me, it's totally worth it. And, Mister. So, I think I went through all of that to help others, and this is kind of my first step. And if there's anyone out there who can identify, who feels comforted in knowing they're not the only one, or, if you've been through something similar and you want to talk to me, I'm here, I'm I'm a good listening ear. Right, bud? And I'm just so blessed. And I am in no way forcing my views on anybody. you know, everybody has to come to their decisions in life on their own, and I try to live by example. And if someone, you know, because I have had people say, Kelly, you know, you've changed so much. I mean, what is different in your life? Whatever it is, I want some of that. And I'm very honored to tell them what has changed in my life, and it's basically my relationship with God, you know, just the awesome love and power of all of His blessings and grace, right? So I never ever try to force my beliefs on anyone. I don't say, oh, you're doing wrong. I try so hard. You know, I really don't believe in judging people, and so I wanted to get this out there, just if, you know, just to show people it's possible to overcome the horrible things in life. You know what I mean? The things that you think, how can a person live through this? Well, you can, you know, and I don't know. I'm just really blessed. This is a big blessing right here. So that's it. I really hope I don't get a whole bunch of harsh comments. If I do, I'll just pray for those people. So it just really makes me sad. You know, if I see on YouTube when a person opens their hearts up and talks about their faith, whatever faith it is, and people just hate on them, it just makes me so sad, you know. And I just pray for them. That's all you can do, right? Yeah. Tell them all about it. 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 Okay. So please feel free to comment or message me personally if you like. I'm an open book, pretty much, within reason, of course. You're a good boy. And that's it. And I promise tomorrow's video won't be as heavy as this one. I'll find something fun and light and not as long. All right, guys. Yeah. Love you. I hope you guys have a great day. God bless you. Okay, bye-bye.